Hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm a parenting and relationship coach, and this is my group. If you have found us, I am so happy that you're here. Welcome. I go live every single week at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I go live on so many different topics. Tonight's topic is a good one. And it's a really common thing that parents struggle with. So tonight we're talking about avoiding difficult topics because we fear what's going to happen if we talk about things. So oftentimes parents or adults too in adult relationships will try and avoid certain topics because it feels like talking about them is a threat somehow to the relationship, or talking about them will somehow cause the person to go deeper into their feelings or to go deeper into their thoughts about that subject. So let me give an example that will make it kind of easier to think about. So let's say you have a sibling situation and you have one sibling that says something like, "I hate him. He's the worst brother in the world." Most times parents are going to say something like, "Don't say that. You love your brother," which is dismissal of what they're saying. Most parents would not want to, it wouldn't come naturally to validate that feeling because it feels like an unkind thing to say. And it feels like that it's not all the way true or not true at all. And so people often struggle to validate feelings for someone when they feel like what is being said is problematic or untrue or an exaggeration or something like that. So we want to get in the habit of learning to validate somebody's experience without agreeing. And oftentimes we've only heard how to validate with agreement. And so you can validate somebody's experience and validate someone's feelings without agreeing with what they're saying, but that takes some skill. So if I hear a child saying something like, "I hate him, he's the worst brother in the world," I'm not going to argue with their feelings. I'm not going to try and talk them out of their feelings. I'm not going to try and bring perspective or share the fact that they were just playing with them a couple minutes ago and they were giggling and laughing together. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to validate their main emotion. I'm going to choose the main emotion that they're feeling, and I'm going to reflect it back with sadness. "You must be so mad to be saying such big words about your brother. You're really upset." And I'm, with compassion, validating that that is a really painful place to be saying such mean things about their sibling. "Wow, you must be really, really mad at him to say something like that. What happened?" And I basically make it safe to share those feelings. I make it safe. I make anything safe. We can talk. The rule is that we can talk about anything. Now, this takes practice, and it is hard to do when you yourself are emotionally escalated. But we want to practice in low stakes environments so that in high stakes environments, we have some level of proficiency. So, but the fear is that stops parents from doing this and stops couples or families or whoever it is from doing this, is that they feel like by exploring it, they are causing that wound or that thought process to go deeper. But it's just not the way it works. There is a way to practice and rehearse anger and practice and rehearse thoughts. And there is a way to validate them in a problematic way. So if I'm trying to use reflective listening and I say something like, "Boy, you really hate your brother," that would be an example of validating that wouldn't be helpful, right? So we don't want to do that, but we can validate the experience that they're having and the emotions that they're having. So people fear that they are going to cause the child to stew further, or they're going to make it so that that person can't let go of that feeling. And it's possible to do that, but if you're truly using reflective listening, you're not going to be doing that. If you can imagine being really upset about something that happened at work and you want to share it with a friend, or you want to share it with somebody, and they're trying to help you see the bright side, it's really easy to get more and more frustrated. So oftentimes what happens is when somebody doesn't feel heard, they keep doubling down, and they keep getting, they get more and more intense about what they're saying because they don't feel heard. So it's when we feel unheard, when we tend to hold on to that story more and more fiercely, because we want so badly to feel understood and heard. So if your child is doubling down, if your partner or friend or whoever it is that you're working on your relationship with, if they continue to double down and they continue to talk about something that's going on for them, what it means is that they don't yet feel heard, they don't yet feel validated, and they're trying to get that need met by continuing to go over it and over it and over it. This is actually what we were just talking about in our group session. And we talked about the 4 different principles that we want to live by in our relationships, that everybody deserves to be listened to when they're struggling, which is what we're talking about tonight. Everybody deserves to be spoken to with respect, even when the speaker's upset. Everybody deserves their body safety, and everybody deserves their boundaries to be respected. So we were talking about the 4 principles and which one we were most likely to violate. And a couple of people in the group were saying that they were most likely to violate boundary number 1, which is not listening when somebody that they care about is struggling. And this is really tough to do when somebody's giving you feedback about your behavior. But it can be done, and the more you practice, the better you get at it. We want to be really gentle with ourselves as we're learning to navigate these skills, because it's not easy. What we're talking about, it's tough. It's tough to practice, and it's even harder when you didn't have people modeling for you compassion, or modeling for you listening, or modeling for you care when you needed it most. So as you're practicing learning these skills, when it feels safe to avoid things rather than head them on, be gentle with yourself. You're learning new things, and it's difficult to learn new things, especially if you have a wound around perfectionism, if you have a wound around making mistakes or messing up over and over and over again. It's growth can be painful sometimes, but it can also be really beautiful and really, really profound, which is what happens in the group setting. I'm so excited for the families that are brand new to our group, and if you want to learn more about how to get to the next step in your relationships, please reach out to either Christina or myself. You would not believe what is possible when you have the right support and when you have the right skills. So many times we get stuck in our relationships because we just avoid the hard things because we don't know what to do, and then we get stuck in the same patterns over and over and over, and then we end up feeling like there's something wrong with us, or there's something wrong with there's something wrong with us, or there's something wrong with the people that we're in relationship with, when it's really just a lack of skills and needing practice with better tools. So if you find yourself avoiding conversations with people that you care about because you're afraid that you're not going to get anywhere, what that means is not that we shouldn't have the conversations. It doesn't mean that we should avoid those things. It means that we need to get practice, and we need to start working on better skills so that our conversations are actually productive, so that we're not threatened by talking about difficult things, so that working through conflict learns to be safe. That's what we want. That's what we deserve. Conflict can be safe. Conflict can be a means to having deeper connection. And that is what it is when you have skills and when you are navigating relationships with people who care about you and you care about them. So if this is you, if you are somebody who avoids difficult conversations or avoids difficult feelings because you're afraid things are just going to get worse, and that talking about it will actually make it worse, then fundamentally there's a part of you that believes that conflict is not safe, that conflict means that bad things will happen. And that's probably because bad things did happen when conflict was when you were in conflict growing up. and as an adult even. So what we want to do is learn to live the 4 principles and learn to create an environment where we can talk about anything, and where conflict is something that brings us closer together and brings us into better relationship. So if you want to learn how to do that, please reach out to me and let me know what you're struggling with. We have so many free resources in this group, and you might be somebody who would do really, really well with just the free resources we have in this group. We have a ton of them. You also might be, if you're watching this, you might be somebody who would really benefit from one-on-one or group coaching. And it is such an honor, and it's so amazing to watch families heal and watch individuals heal their relationship issues in relationship. So this is really important because our wounding happens in relationship, but so does our healing. Oftentimes we're trying to do this healing on our own, but it's really difficult to do healing on our own because the healing happens in the relationship. And so we need to be practicing. We need to be living out the principles that we're trying to learn. We need to be living the skills in order to practice them effectively. So your wounding happened in relationships, and your healing is going to happen in relationships. And yeah, I'm going to check the comments real quick. Somebody says, sometimes you say kids will be thinking about it on their own anyway, and when we talk with them about it, we can help guide them through it. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Christina. It's such a good point. It sounds like that applies with tough topics. Yes, very, very much so. So when we avoid tough conversations, we lose our access. We lose our access to influence that person's experience. So if we shut down the conversation, if we dismiss or minimize or try and help someone see the bright side, or we flat out avoid the difficult conversations, it's still bubbling under the surface. Our kids, our partner, our friend, whatever it is, they're still going to be having those feelings, but they're left to make sense of it based on their own wounding, based on their own experiences. So they're still going to be grappling with it. But we lose our chance to help them understand our experience. We lose our chance to influence their thoughts about the situation. So let's say, for example, your child is saying something like, I hate myself, I'm so bad at math, right? If you're really uncomfortable talking about tough stuff, you might find yourself saying something like, don't say that, that's not true. You need to talk nicely about yourself. You're just bullying yourself, or something like that. What we're doing in that situation is shutting down the conversation, and we lose our opportunity to explore that with them. What they'll learn is, I can't tell mom the truth about, that situation. Mom's not going to listen to me. Mom's just going to tell me that that's not true. What's the point of sharing? And we lose access to start influencing. What we're actually doing is soothing ourselves in that situation. And what's happening is it feels unsafe for us. And so we're trying to get out of there. But then what we're doing is we're leaving them to deal with that on their own. So what we want to do is learn to expand our capacity for tough conversations, learn to expand our capacity to have to engage in conflict, talk about the tough stuff, to hear somebody saying tough stuff about themselves or us. And when we do that, when we make it safe to talk about those things, then we can navigate that with them, and we can figure out a solution that will actually help them, rather than leaving them on their own in that. They are going to be continuing to think about it, and we want to help them make sense of it. We want to be able to influence what their experience is, so that they can heal and see things more clearly. Hey, love it so much. I'm glad you're here, Emma. I'm going to just refresh. Sometimes I don't see the comments until, sometimes there's a lag between screen ready here. Facebook comments and like when you comment and when I can see it. But so that might be happening. If you are watching this on the replay and you see how this is applicable to you, or you don't see how this is applicable to you, let me know and I can clarify for you. I will be out next week, I am going to be taking some much needed rest. And so I will not be live next week, but I'll be back on schedule the week after that. So I will still be monitoring the group. And if there's something, I don't imagine there being anything urgent, urgent post in the group, but Christina can reply to anything and she'll know where to reach me if something happens that you need help with, or if you're looking into coaching or whatever it is, feel free to reach out to Christina. Okay, I'm signing off for tonight. Be gentle with yourselves. This is tough work. And if you are watching this, I love that for you. That's, that's part of it. And that might not feel like a lot, but that is a lot. So be gentle with yourself and be proud of yourself for showing up here today and watching these lives, watching these videos. Your brain, if you do that often enough and you engage in the comments, or even if you don't feel safe engaging in the comments, but you just keep watching, your brain will get to work. Your brain will start catching up and you will start working on the skills. So I will see you soon. Be gentle, take care of yourselves, and bye.